All right.
Welcome to the Are These Guys Still for Real edition of Sharing Sox. I'm duty geezer Leigh Allan. With me, my son, and back to being West Coast correspondent Will. We are recording on the 24th of August, just after two walk-off homers in 3 days against the not amazing Mets, and before the Texas series, which should be an important one, I think, probably. Uh, Both because for the White Sox and because somebody's got to win the AL West. And the question is what kind of record they end up with, whether the Sox, if they win the Central, would be second or third uh, on the agenda, and whether they get a first round bye. Which,
Normally when you're playing a 65 and 66 team on October 25th, October 24th, 25th, you aren't really concerned about the competitive desires of that other team. But because the AL West is so terrible, we are somehow playing against a team that's tied for first place at 65 and 66 and will desperately be trying to beat the White Sox.
of course, normally in the end of August, you aren't real concerned about playing the White Sox either.
That
that
is true.
that is very nicely turned around. I should say I have made a horrible mistake way back in the off season before spring training started or anything. I presume, as I think every White Sox fan did, that this is just an interim year and we're at least a year away from being competitive.
I
2027, if we're lucky,
I don't think
2028
I don't
probably.
think you made a mistake. I mean, that
Well,
was
that
absolutely what was supposed to happen.
the mistake I then made was to schedule a European vacation starting
Oh, yeah.
on September 15th or so and not coming back till October 2nd. So I need the Sox to end up with the second bye, the first round bye, the second best record of the division winners, which will probably be the seventh best record because everybody in the East will be better. But because that way they don't play a playoff game till after I get back. if, if they have to do the wild card, then it could be all over before I get back.
Well, you might be in a pickle there. Although the AL West is so terrible, there's a good chance that could happen. But you know, Houston just seems to find a
Come out of
way to
nowhere.
just
Yeah.
ruin everything. And the other team that does that is the Cleveland Guardians, and they are absolutely still hot on our heels. I'm very concerned about Cleveland because the rest of the year, if you look at the schedule for the White Sox and for the Guardians, it is a race of who can lose the least to bad teams.
Yeah, they both got very soft schedules.
Very soft. And Cleveland's is absurdly soft. It is hard to believe that they are playing it's hard to believe nobody good snuck in. They have 3 games against the White Sox, and everything else is just garbage. Just absolute
I
garbage.
I looked this morning at the FanGraphs and Pecota prognostications for the season, which of course get updated daily and it runs through their computers again. I wish uh, uh, the other guys, what was it, 538, the one we used to do. I
Yeah.
wish they still did it because I thought they were the best. But Pecota and Fangraphs both have the White Sox ending the season at 83 and 79. Not unreasonable.
No, not unreasonable.
Fangraph has them winning the division by 2 games over Cleveland, and Pecota has them by 1 game over Cleveland, with the Twins and the Tigers just fading away.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I do think it's absolutely going to be down to the wire. And uh it's kind of you're choosing your own fate here. Both teams are playing teams that they should absolutely win every series for the rest of the year. And the White Sox are blessed that I believe their last two series are Kansas City and Colorado.
Colorado at home yet.
And if there is, something you should absolutely be able to do, it's win the division in a tight race, ending with those two series. So their fate is in their own hands. But as is Cleveland's. Cleveland is a huge concern, though. They never go away. They never go away. They have a great manager, and they also just find the pitching year after year after year. We know
Yeah,
this
it's
about
like they go into
Cleveland.
the stands and pull a guy out and say, "Would you like to do a few innings?"
And then that guy goes nine, giving up three hits and one
Yeah,
unearned run. Uh, so the big issue, the White Sox aren't, I would say, in a lot of trouble because Stephen Kwan is finding it again. Cleveland has more pitching. If Jose Ramirez heats up legitimately to what he is capable of, then the White Sox will not win the
yeah,
division.
they've got, and I forget his name now. The one rookie is hitting very well, so they are getting a little bit of offense to go with their pitching.
Yeah, but
Um,
but pitching's so important, and the White Sox are on the other side where it's kind of a ticking time bomb of when is the pitching going to completely fall off as we
yeah,
head into
and
September.
it's interesting about that. Okay, I see pitching crossing, as it were, going up and going down. Going up, Eric Fedde has looked very good his last two outings as what they call the bulk reliever. I'm going to start a trend to call that the X-Lax because you get
The
great product placement.
X-Lax.
Product placement. Jerry can make some money on. But Fedde's looked good, but I think he's had some good fortune. I mean, sometimes he's been hit pretty hard, but it's been kind of right at people. The one was amazing, and I watched both of the games with Fedde in there. I watched the game where Urquidy also came in after an opener. He looked phenomenal, and he's never been
Yeah,
good. It's not like, oh, he's back to what he was 2 years ago. He's never been good. But that game was phenomenal. Every pitch was on the black. Now, our TV announcers were going, well, he's throwing strikes. He wasn't just throwing strikes. He was throwing strikes right on the edge every time. Now, I believe that he can keep doing that?
there we
No,
go. There we
no,
go.
I don't. But he's doing it, and that's really saving a lot because Luis Castillo, I'm sorry, he's had four games now. First one, bad, but not horrible, just
Yeah.
bad. Second one, phenomenal. And you go, wow, he's there. This was a brilliant $21 million a year move that we made here. Third one, back to bad, but not horrible. And the fourth one was horrible.
Fourth
Uh,
one was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious.
I think we have to not count Castillo, and he's not even eating innings because he's only lasting 4 innings.
Yeah,
Um,
no, he's we knew this when he was signed that maybe there was some sort of miracle that could happen that could bring him back to where he was, but it's such an absurd signing. I do think every now and then he'll go out and throw well, uh, but I don't think there's any method to that madness. I think it's just which Castillo shows up that day, and more often than not, it's going to be a guy who can't find the zone and gets absolutely shellacked by the other team. So you've got Fetty, who's doing well. Fetty, I would say, is probably the guy most likely to do well deep into a season. He's got the most experience in that. So I think he could hold up potentially. But a lot of the other guys are just
Sean
going
Burke is
to,
a real worry.
yeah,
He's already beyond his innings from last year, and we're 30 some games left. He's got another six starts. Not going to work. Not, you can pitch more. I really believe Steve Stone on this. I believe Steve Stone on almost everything, and especially on this. You can pitch more innings than he did the year before, but you can't pitch a lot more innings than he did the year before. And Burke already
correct.
showed that his last two outings have not been the total shutdowns that he was throwing game after game after game for so long. He's been very human, not bad, but very human, and it's just going to get worse, I think, with him.
Yeah, and
Anthony
I
Kay
think
is held up.
Anthony K's held up, likely to hold up relatively well, I think, through the rest of the year. the big issue that the White Sox are going to have is that we don't necessarily call them starters because they don't always start, but we'll, the bulk pitchers, the guys who are supposed to come in and pitch
X-lax. Use the term. Use
the
X-lax so we can think.
X-Lax, the X-Lax. When the X-Lax run out of gas, um, which
Well,
is
well
one of
put.
the effects of X-Lax, it just strains your bullpen. And the bullpen is also going
Starting
to
to
run
wear
out
down.
of gas. Yeah.
Starting to wear
We're,
down.
when Castillo was pitching the other day, the announcers were harping on, well, if he can go late into the game, this would be huge for us. This would be huge for us because the bullpen's taxed and they've got a lot coming up. He was gone within the next 4 outs of the game. So pitching is just, not that anyone expects the White Sox to win the World Series or anything like that, but to get to the playoffs is going to be a real uphill battle, even with this pillowy schedule that we're facing. And we
David,
knew that, but we also don't have Davis Martin. Maybe there's some hope that he
he
can come back and
yeah,
do
did
something.
Will he's been on the IL. I think he's due back very soon.
Yeah.
And maybe being on the IL helped. The IL had nothing to do with the fact that he was pitching very badly before he went, because it's a blister that putting him on the 15th day. That's not what caused him to pitch badly several games in a row. Uh, but maybe it's a rest. Maybe having 15 days, missing 3 turns in the rotation basically, uh, will rejuvenate him.
I mean, that strategy of throwing a tired guy on the IL, that's Dodger
Everybody
baseball.
uses it. Everybody does it.
I mean, the Dodgers are so spoiled that, they get a starter who's like, yeah, I only got 7.5 hours of sleep instead of 8 last night. And they're like, let's do the 60-day. Let's just get you ready for October. So it's a good idea. It was a good idea to IL him, whether that injury was super valid or not for that. It was a smart move. I mean, this was the right time to do it. So if he can come back rested and come back ready to go, that would obviously be a massive boost. Now, do I think Davis Martin was ever an ace? No, I do not. I think he was pitching above his weight early on in the season. I think he's probably like a pretty good pitcher. But if we can get a guy to come back whose ceiling is pretty good and he pitches pretty good, then that's huge when you're facing a soft schedule for the rest of the year. But the name of the game for the White Sox for the rest of the season is going to be who can throw the ball, who can get innings, who can get them into late stages of the game, because we've proven that we can win close games late time and time and time and time again. We do it all the time, but we have to still be in those games when you get to the eighth and when you get to the ninth. And I don't think that Hagen Smith's been great. I don't think you can say, hey, could you pitch 7 today instead of 2? I don't think we're in that position either. On the other side, Cleveland's got young guys throwing too, so they could see similar things. But Cleveland also is just a factory of elite pitchers coming out of nowhere and pitching brilliantly in September. So it's going to be really tough. Pitching is the number one concern by far.
Oh
Nothing's
yeah,
close.
yeah,
There's
yeah. No
probably
question.
not a second concern after that.
There's always there's so many homer hitters that if one of them, Colson Montgomery, I don't know if he's done for the year, or he's always going to be, I think, for a career, the power hitter who only hits mistakes. Well, a lot of guys made long careers out of being power hitters who only hit mistakes. Uh,
Absolutely. A lot of
and
pitchers make mistakes.
right, if you can just hang in there long enough, you get 6 or 7 pitches, one of them's going to be a mistake.
Yeah.
and and he hits mistakes a very long way. Uh, but he's of course all batters are streaky, but he's streakier than most. He really is streaky, and he had a game the other day where he had the 2 doubles. You go, he's pulled out of it. He's going to be on a good streak. And then he went back. I think he's had 7 strikeouts in the last 2 days. Uh,
And he's joined my favorite new White Sox trend, which is when the bases are loaded with 2 outs and 2 strikes, just watching a pitch go right down the middle.
yeah.
I don't think there's anything that drives me crazier than that. Yeah, it happened with Montgomery. It happened with Benintendi. Thankfully we came back to win yesterday. But what are you looking for? What are you looking for? He's got to throw a strike. Why weren't you looking for the strike? Why weren't you looking
And you've got a
straight down the
bigger
middle?
chance at a fastball in that circumstance than pretty much any other circumstance because he can't walk you.
Exactly. And if they're able to throw some incredible full count backdoor slider situation to get
Good for
you
them.
out, so be it. So be it. I think everyone sitting at home will go, "Oh, what a missed opportunity," but that was a nasty pitch. The watching the fastballs go right down the middle thing, really, really bad. Really, really bad. And of course, it's Benintendi and Montgomery who, Montgomery can be great, but is streaking in the wrong direction. Benintendi to me is just it's hard to believe he's still there
Yeah.
every time he's
He
still
he
there.
and then he'll come through and get a key hit. He's done a couple in the last week, big
I
hits.
know. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts because he should be gone. He should be a guy that we're not talking about. But then every now and then he does something and you're like, all right, Benintendi. Yeah, good to have you here. And then he'll do something bonehead for the next 3 games in a row and go right back. But hitting overall, um, okay, okay. The power's obviously there. We got a lot of guys who can hit the ball out of the park. Um, can it hold up through the dog days of the end of the season? We'll see. I still think we'll score some runs. We're just winning a lot of really close games all the time. We're not putting up big numbers on teams. We're sitting in first place with a plus 43 run differential on August 24th. Not the sign of a great team, but also not the sign of a bad team. But also, who knows? Because Detroit has a plus 73 run
It's
differential.
amazing, isn't
They
it?
are in
Isn't it
fourth
amazing?
place in the AL Central with the third best run differential in the American League.
It's,
And I
that's
would,
shocking.
and the other thing that sort of defeats my argument right away is the Rays are only at a plus 44 run differential on August 24th. They're 3 games ahead in first place, and they would be 8.5, 9.5 games up on the White Sox if the White Sox were in that division. So run
If the White Sox
differential,
were in that division, they'd be 20 games up because the White Sox record would be much weaker.
that's
They'd be
true.
playing those teams 13 times a year instead of the AL Central teams 13 times a year.
I know. Every time I look at the AL East standings, it makes me sad. You have less confidence in the White Sox. But then if you keep scrolling down the screen, you get to the AL West, and you're like, oh, well, we'd be in first by 5 games over there. We'd be incredible. Nobody would catch us. So yeah, we got a long way to go. But also, it is still just exciting to watch this team play. And I don't think that can be lost on us.
No, no, they're fun.
They're extremely fun and they still care. They're doing this thing where they're getting an unlikely hero almost every time. Pub, piece of evidence number one is got to be Jake Rogers hitting a
Yeah.
walk-off home run. I mean, I would think if
I
you
think
were
his
in,
batting average is down to 140 or something now, but one of them was a walk-off home run.
I think if he was coming up to bat, I'm not a gambling man. I'm not sure how it works, but if you had thrown $1,000 down on that walk-off home run, you would have walked away with $1 million. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
an absolutely wild situation. It made it over by about a centimeter, I think. Uh, as as did the other walk off. Yesterday's walk off
You know,
was
it's interesting that the walk-off Sunday uh, uh, by Peters was one that hit the top of the wall.
yeah.
And you had this feeling. Now, Luis Robert Jr. was in left for the Mets and saved a home run there. But if they decided, hey, Luis, why don't you move over to center for the last couple of innings? He would have caught that one.
He
He
would
would
have
have
caught
just
that ball. That's a Luis
because
Robert Jr. ball.
and he knows the walls at the rate better than anybody in baseball. And he knows how
Correct.
to climb those walls and take advantage of those walls. He would have caught it. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was one of those things where the balls hit the center and you're like, I think Luis is going to get that. Oh, wait. He's in left field now for some reason. And that one just snuck over. Interesting thing about Peters, who you could argue there's a lot of wild surprises with this team. Like I
you
think
mean
Vargas
the Savannah Banana aspect?
Vargas being great, Murakami living up to the hype and exceeding it. Antonacci, I think, would be an argument for the biggest surprise on the team, a guy we didn't know about until the World Baseball Classic, really. Uh, Peters, I checked today. Peters is now the third favorite to win the AL Rookie of the Year, ahead of Murakami.
Well, I guess because Murakami missed all that time. But
Yeah, he missed a big chunk. But when you talk about the 2026 White Sox, I think you have to sort of revolve the entire conversation around Tristan Peters. This is a guy who was playing theater baseball, which is not an insult because I love theater and I love baseball. This was a guy playing theater baseball, comes to the major leagues, immediately brings that fun and that energy to a young group of guys and carries it through an entire season while actually playing good real baseball. I mean,
yeah, now he had been in a slump. Speaking of the guy slumping, because he'd been hitting over 300 for a while, and I think he was down to 260 ish, and then he suddenly pops out of it with with a walk off homer. Uh, yeah, it's interesting. I looked going from the offense to the defense. Baseball Reference does a thing where they do defense by position, not give an individual, but by position on the team. And I looked at the defensive run saved, which is as good a stat as you can use defensively, because these
yeah,
days
pretty
fielding
much.
percentage and whatnot doesn't really matter as much. But and you can get FanGraphs and Baseball Reference can disagree in defense because there's subjectivity to the algorithms that they put in there. Still, it went in. White Sox defense by position. Catcher guess. This is not a hard guess. Dead last in the major leagues.
Oh, oh.
Not a good position to be dead
Remember
last
when
in
we
the
were
major leagues.
spoiled? Remember when we were spoiled with catching prospects? Remember when
Yeah,
we had multiple podcast episodes that were like, if anything's going to be okay, it's going to be catcher?
exactly. And
Unbelievable.
even Kyle Teal, who I guess will be back, but maybe if he doesn't get hurt again, he wasn't good when he was there defensively or offensively.
If
In the
you had
100.
told me 2 years ago that we were going to be playing Jake Rogers in August, I would have laughed at you. I would have been like, what are you talking about? Did we trade the other prospects for Otani? Like, what are you talking about? And here we are. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but the catching
Okay,
thing,
so
I think about it
then
every day.
around the infield, where it's been pretty established. I mean, the same four guys most of the time are playing those positions. So you can look at
Yeah.
the individuals. All four infield. Now you have to bear in mind that the White Sox were dead last in the majors in defense forever. I mean, for decades. I don't know about decade, but down to after 2012, 29th to 30th every year. Uh, they've turned that around. The infield, everybody is a little below average.
That makes sense.
All four of them a little below average does. The good thing on that is Murakami, not only did the scouts turn out to be very wrong about him hitting major league fastballs, which he does just as well, they were wrong about how bad he was defensively. He's not
Yeah.
good defensively, but he's adequate.
Yeah,
That was
he's
not
not
expected.
bad. He's not bad. And you can tell that he's plays the position very hard and takes it very seriously. So I actually think
Oh
we'll
yeah,
see him get better as well. Uh, I don't know how long we'll have him, but and we won't have baseball next year. So maybe actually this is it.
Could
But
be.
he is getting better, and yeah, I think having a below average infield, just below average, makes total sense, and that's going to be a trade off with having
Yeah,
an infield where
the
every guy's pitched
announcers love
30
to
home
say
runs.
how good Vargas is. He's not.
He's
By
not good. No,
He's slightly below average, as is
he
Coulson,
does make exceptional plays at times. He
and
does
exceptionally dumb ones.
he does have really good instincts when he doesn't have to react, when it's all just reaction. On the really hard plays, he actually plays pretty well. He just doesn't play as well when he's got time to think and got time to throw and all those things. Um, Same with Colson's, he's really just okay out there. And Mydroth is the same
Eventually,
way.
he's going to be playing third base. We've
Mydroth
got
makes
we've got
some
great
really
choice
great
on
plays.
prospects, and
Yeah, yeah.
Mydroth again. It's kind of Vargas. He makes incredible plays,
Yeah,
and then he'll throw something into Rosie. Uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Now the outfield's where it gets really interesting. Center
Oh,
field, very strong, top 6 or 7 in the majors. Right field, right in the middle, and that you can't put it on Braden because he didn't come up until
yeah, he hasn't been up very
well
long.
into the season. So there were other guys out there who weren't doing very well. So he's done fine, and he also makes mistakes. His arm is incredible, but he also rookie thing. He chart several times. He's charging a ball because he wants to make the big throw because he knows he's got the great arm, and the ball just goes right on past him. He doesn't concentrate on the ball. He's thinking about throwing.
Misses the cutoff a lot too.
Yeah.
Goes for the throw instead of throwing to the cut. Yeah.
But the one that really surprises me is that left field, which has been overwhelmingly Sam Antonacci. Left field has always been a black hole defensively because of Benintendi. But Benintendi, I looked it up, has only played 55 innings in left field out of well over 1,000 in the season. So you can't lay this
Yeah.
on Benintendi. Next to last in the majors. The eyeball test doesn't tell you that. But apparently, Sam is just not getting jumps, not doing something. I mean, he makes really nice plays when he gets here, but his arms are not great, but it's perfectly adequate. He's been a shortstop. Uh, but that he's that bad, and left fielders tend to be bad. So you're comparing him to a bunch of, usually, I mean, other than Stephen Kwan, a bunch of not such great defensive players anyway, and down near the bottom. Now, again, he wasn't in left the whole time, but he's been there most of the time.
I'm
That
not
surprises me.
I'm not incredibly surprised by that. Just because when you watch him play, he does seem to get a pretty bad read on the ball often. And I think he's the kind of guy where he can make up for a bad read, because he's actually pretty good when it comes to tracking down the ball once he's got it read and catching the ball. But I don't think he reads the ball really well off the bat. So I think that's probably a lot of where that's coming from. He makes a lot of plays look better than they should have looked. He makes a lot of routine
Melky
plays.
Cabrera syndrome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's there are a lot of guys like that. And there are a lot of left fielders like that, especially because that is usually where you hide a power hitter. Um so I'm not shocked by that. Next to last is surprising just
Yeah, I
because
mean, if it had just been below average, yeah, got it. But way down there, wow.
yeah, and of course it doesn't matter a ton. So Manny Ramirez played left field for teams that won over 100 games multiple times. So, left field is not your most crucial position like it is in slow pitch softball. Uh, but I do think Antonacci, I would expect him to be bottom 2/3. Next to last is kind of surprising. Throw in Benintendi for 55 innings probably knocks you down an extra spot there.
And you got a little bit of Grichuk, uh, also
Grichuk,
dragging it
who's
down.
yeah, not a great fielder. Great signing, turns out. Grichuk has been
Oh
finding
yeah,
something that we
as
didn't
long
think
as
he
he
had
just
left.
faces lefties,
Yeah.
he's wonderful.
Have him face lefties, don't put him in the field. Pretty good little surprise there. Uh, so yeah, I think the defense will hold up as being just completely okay for the rest of the season. I don't expect us to taper off there much. Um, we make some exciting plays, but we also, mess up a lot of plays that should be made. Throws aren't great. Range isn't great. So you just kind of got to hope that they're hitting it right to your guys, which they can handle. The issue is that with these pitchers, you're going to see more balls in play and you're going to see more base runners, and that tends to be, you know, White Sox make mistakes a lot with guys on base. So you just kind of got to hope that these pitchers can hold up and keep guys off base. Uh, we should also talk about our manager before we go here. Certainly, if the White Sox win the division, the AL Manager of the Year. Um, Made some strange mistakes
I mean,
recently.
I mean the one with the visits to the mound and that kind of thing. That's just were he Pedro Grafal, you get reams and reams and reams of how awful that was and how stupid that was. Here we have a guy who's really doing a very good job, and his mind wandered for a moment. I think we tolerate that.
I think we tolerate it, but I also think we don't, because that is a crazy mistake to make. Now, the good news is with a manager like Will, I do think that it won't happen again. And that's the crucial thing when you've got a newer manager. Uh, but he's got to just be such a great locker room guy. He's got to just be so great. It is
Yes,
August
absolutely.
24th. This team was expected by many to lose, 95 to 105 games, and they're in it. They're in it. They could win the division. The White Sox could have the AL Manager of the Year in 2026, which is mind blowing. I mean, I'm sure Kevin Cash is sitting there going, well, shouldn't I win it for the 100th time this year? Can you name five guys on my team? No, you can't. But the White Sox are kind of the same way, and this was just completely unexpected. It's so fun to for the last few years when I come home, even if I can put the White Sox on MLB TV, I don't, because it's brutal to watch. It's why would I want to see a bunch of bonehead plays in an empty stadium? And now you turn on the game, the environment in the stadium's electric, sometimes too electric, because there was another massive brawl in the stands yesterday. Really, really bad one,
Oh,
actually.
I didn't see that. I watched that game.
They didn't show it on the broadcast. You got to
Ah,
find these things. They've been hiding them. They didn't show the one in the bleachers at Wrigley the other day either. This one was a lot worse because this was socks on socks violence, I'll say. And I mean, top deck, and guys were jumping off the high steps and flying down like 5, 6, 7 steps to drop kick guys down the upper deck
oh,
steps. And you know how steep those steps are. You know
been
it
there.
extremely dangerous, extremely, and it was a bunch of guys. I mean, it was a full blown. It looked like WWE. Like it looked like guys going off the top rope, drop kicking guys in the stands. It was just wild. So I'm hoping with the excitement around the White Sox, we don't see too much of an uptick in that, because of course then the internet says White Sox fans have always been garbage, they're trash, they're whatever. And I don't think that's true. I just do not
No,
think that's true.
we are not the Phillies or the Yankees.
Yeah, or the Padres when they're in LA, or the Dodgers fans when the Padres are there. So hopefully that stuff doesn't continue. I don't like seeing that trend, but I will defend White Sox fans until the day I die, and I am so happy for White Sox fans to have a reason to be going to these games in August and September. I love that they're showing up. The energy's great. When we went to the game against Cleveland, the workers, the employees, completely different vibe than you've had there for years. Everyone wanted to talk about the team. The people serving at the beer stands wanted to talk about the team. The people at the gate on the way out. I mean, we got to see a pretty awesome walk off, but just glowing, talking about the game, talking about how exciting it was, talking about how fun it was. And that is just really cool. It's made me just, dive in extra hard this year for the Sox. I'm trying to watch every game I possibly can. Don't tell my boss, but I have a place I can hide my phone in the corner and have the game going and nobody can see it on silent. And it's just nice to be able to look over and see them play. Makes my day go a lot smoother. We are about out of time. Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, if we're out of time, too bad. I was going to tell a story from 50 years ago, but I don't have time to do that. It's
You'll
fairly
have to save it for the next one.
Bill Vexter. We'll save it for that. But meanwhile, let's see what we can do with Texas here.
Let's take them down. Texas. Ugh. Who's rooting for Texas? You and I went to see some White Sox and Rangers games back at
at their old park. Yeah.
the ballpark in Arlington back in the day. Um,
What I mostly remember about that was incredible barbecue just across the street.
really good barbecue, but it was also the first time I ever ate Jack in the Box, and that didn't do it for
Not
me.
good. Not good at all.
Royce Clayton. I remember Royce Clayton being the starting shortstop for the Rangers, and that no clue why. It's always stuck with me. I'm a Royce Clayton guy who played Miguel Tejada in Moneyball. Very strange casting, but looked amazing because that's why Moneyball looks so good. Those guys knew how to play. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. Keep rooting on those White Sox. Let's keep this thing going. Let's hang in there. Let's finish it off, and we'll see you next time right here on Sharing Sox.